Here I am back doing a video on Ozempic. I haven't done this for a little while, but the BBC News did do a little show on it, so I thought I'd react to that. But before I do me a really big favor and hit the subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. It really helps me out, especially if you're a returning viewer. It means you like my stuff, but you're not subscribing. Why aren't you subscribing? Just hit subscribe. It'll really help me out. And now let's get on with the video. Before we start, let me remind you what I think about Ozempic. And I'm quite clear on the subject. I was on the fence at the very beginning, but now I've got a really solid point of view. That point of view is that the NHS should be deciding who goes on it. And I think they do this really well. That's why when you go through the proper systems, very few people actually get prescribed the drug itself and have to go and find it privately. And I think this is a big problem. And the reason the NHS aren't giving it to everyone is because not everybody needs it. Remember, it's a diabetes drug first that people found they would lose weight on. There's very few people in the population that I think should be taking it. The rest of us should be taking control of our health ourselves. People say stuff like this lady here says, and it bugs me a little bit because it gives you the wrong idea about how weight is actually gained in the first place. So let's see what this lady says on this morning. This was a few years ago.
Weight was escalating. It was getting sort of more, I was getting bigger and bigger, and I was getting a lot of health problems as well. So I was getting sort of reflux and inflammation, and my joints were really hurting. And
so the issue I had with that, obviously she had joints really hard and getting reflux. Those are all really unpleasant symptoms of being overweight, and I do feel bad for her. My problem is what she said about the weight just being put on. So she kind of said something along the lines of, well, I just seem to be putting weight on. Well, you don't see anyone in Africa saying that, do you? There's no one. You don't go to the impoverished villages in Africa and some dude just turns up one day and they're like, oh, what happened to you, mate? Oh, I don't know, the weight just started coming on me. Oh, really? How? I don't know, just started coming on. It doesn't happen, does it? So there is a thing that happens that we all know what it is. I don't need to go through it again and again. We all know how people gain weight. And to be fair to this lady, she also knows. But there's this idea that it wasn't me. I didn't. It seems to just happen. I just seem to eat more and I seem to gain weight. It's as if it wouldn't happen to someone else who did the same thing. You're not unique. If you overeat, if one overeats, I should say, you're going to gain weight. It's just the way it is. It doesn't just happen. But, I mean, it's a genius idea, this, from the pharmaceutical point of view. You're going to earn a lot of money out of it because I think something like 2/3 of the UK are overweight.
In England, 28% of people are classed as obese and another 36% are overweight. So that's nearly 2/3 of us falling into one of those categories. And it's a similar picture across the rest of the UK.
There you have it, okay? So you're either slightly overweight or obese, okay? So if you're overweight, quite rightly, the NHS doesn't give you the drug. You need to have certain qualifications. Like I can't remember what all of them are, but it's not easy to do it. But 2/3 of the population being overweight means we have a problem with our weight management as a society, which is why so many people are leaning towards this drug and paying for it. They're having to pay for it, and that's what's fucking mental to me. You have to go and pay for this drug when you could just take control of your own life and go, do you know what? I'll just eat 5 biscuits instead of 10. Do you know what I mean? That's step one, right? Let's see what else they have to say here.
Some get it on the NHS, others pay for it through private clinics and pharmacies.
Emma is a GP and she runs a private clinic which provides weight management advice along with support and coaching for patients using GLP-1 medications that she prescribes. She's also using weight loss jabs herself.
I've always struggled with my weight since before I was a teenager, and I've literally done every diet out there, and every diet I do lose weight with, I just can't keep the weight off.
Okay, so I do have empathy. Of course I have empathy for people who struggle with their weight management. I'm not saying it's just as simple as, oh, just eat a bit less. Obviously there's psychological reasons why people do overeat, right? But the lady here, the GP here, the doctor here said it herself. She's tried every diet, she's tried everything. Well, have you tried actually changing your lifestyle forever? Okay, because you try a diet, you revert back to what you used to do. Guess what's going to happen? You know the answer to this. This is not fucking rocket science. It's really obvious. We all know it. So why don't you just do it? But instead, people say, oh, well, I just couldn't seem to keep it off. No, you just went back. You didn't change your habits. You didn't see it as, this is now my life. This is now how I eat. You want to lose the weight and then go back to what you did. That's not going to fucking work because it didn't work last time.
If I'm honest, I was the biggest I've ever been. I was bordering morbidly obese, and all I was doing was dieting all the time, and I had no clue how to stop it.
Previously got up to 23.5 stone. I lost all that weight, and then I put it all back on again. I got to about 22 stone and I was gradually losing weight, but it's frustrating and it's slow.
Yeah, it is frustrating. It is slow. That's how it should be. That's how you create the habits. If you do it too quickly, there's no habit creation there.
And I saw it as a way that I could just speed that up, a bit of a cheat.
Bit of a cheat. I would go with that.
I've always been on a diet and never found anything that worked. I work in the fitness industry and I felt personally that I was a bit of an imposter. Like I wasn't valued for my opinion based on my size. So initially...
I mean, I do have a level of empathy with this girl here. She's saying that people in the fitness industry that she works in looked at her and thought, well, she must not know what she's doing. And that's not true. There's plenty of people who are overweight in the fitness industry that do know what they're talking about. But the problem I have with it is obviously if you got two people and you go, well, that person probably practices what they preach, so likely they know what they're doing better, or at least can have a shared experience with you. You know, you wouldn't go to a financial advisor who was fucking poor, would you? You wouldn't go and seek advice from someone, I'm really fucking poor, but I know how to get you rich, but I'm not rich, but I know how to get you rich. Okay, you'd be like, well, fuck off. You get yourself rich first, then come and talk to me later. And it's kind of the same here. It's not exactly the same, but it is kind of the same here. People are not going to value it as much because you don't look the part. And that is just the way it is in our industry, I'm afraid. I'm not saying it's right. It is just the way it is.
I went on the medicine just to almost prove a point to say, hey, if I lost weight, does my career progress? Do people take me any more seriously?
Probably. So the next thing is I talked about earlier, is how much does this cost? How much money is people forking out when the NHS says, no, you don't qualify, go do more exercise and go and eat less? How much are people willing to pay for the treatment? Let's have a look.
It's a hefty cost for private buyers.
I spent about £2,000 on the injections in total, but I had no idea how much that would have run to.
£2,000? Fuck that. For something you can do yourself, okay? It's hard work, I'll give you that. I will fucking give you that. Our lives mean that it's hard work to be consistent with your diet and your training. But £2,000 is a fucking lot of money in this climate to be spending on something that you can do yourself. So let's talk about some of the side effects we've talked about in the previous videos. If you haven't watched the previous videos, I'll link it in the description just here. Go back and watch those because it gives you a really good idea about what I think about the subject. But there's some more on the symptoms just here.
With nausea, I had headaches every day. I hadn't slept in 4 months. My hair was falling out in clumps.
That's not fucking worth it, is it? Your hair falling out. It's not, especially for a woman, fucking hell.
But I'd lost about 3.5 stone.
Well done, could have done that anyway.
It was amazing to see the reaction of people that came up to me after it were like, well done, that's so much weight. And I was like, what do you mean, well done, that's so much weight? The purpose of that conversation was, I have really suffered.
Well, I don't really understand what she means there. I mean, you did it to yourself, right? You're having a conversation about weight loss. People say well done, and then you get annoyed for them for saying well done because you felt bad on a drug that you know that there's side effects for. Well, just lose the weight yourself anyway. I don't understand. You know what to do, so just do it. If it means that much, you just do it, okay? That's ridiculous, that one. But let's have a think about what happens afterwards, okay? So you're on the drug, you lose low weight, you look great. More and more's coming out now about how the effectiveness of the drug gets less the more you go on. So obviously it's not very cost effective. If you're buying a drug that you're meant to lose weight, it works really well and then starts to slow down. So obviously if that starts to happen, people start coming off the drug because they're like, well, I'm paying X and it started to slow down. I may as well come off it, see if I can do it myself. So let's see what these guys say about what happened to what their experience was when they came off the medication. Back to the GP.
The final week that I was off it, I remember going and having a meal and not feeling full. And I ate another meal and I still didn't feel full. And I was back with the pressure on my rib cage.
So the hunger came back, basically. The hunger immediately came back and she didn't have that off button when she was eating. She could eat again and again and again and just reverts back to what she used to do. So it's a temporary fix most of the time, I think.
A couple of occasions I've made the decision to come off of the medication and just to stop.
So that point there, on a couple of occasions, that means she's been off and on the medication. She can't control what she's doing while she's off the medication. And I think this is true for many people on Ozempic.
And I got on both occasions 3 days in And after day 3, I had eaten so much food and was so horrified with myself because I didn't even realise I was eating food. It was literally like something opened up in my mind that said, eat everything, go on, you deserve it because you haven't ate anything for 19 months.
Positive thoughts about food.
Yeah, so there is that element. If you must come off it really, really hungry. You know, so what's coming out now more and more is that the GLP-1 hormone is a hormone that we secrete ourselves in our brain. The most common one being leptin, that's the one that people talk about the most. There's more, but that's the most common one. Now, what they're starting to find is if you go on this medication, any forms of the medication, and then come off it, not only were you probably not secreting so much of the hormone anyway, but you're secreting even less when you come off it because your body thinks it's getting it. So it goes, oh, I won't bother. The body's smart like that. It creates a negative feedback loop and goes, oh, well, I'm getting some in anyway. I may as well not bother. So people are coming off hungrier than they were before. And if they had weight management issues beforehand, it's going to be a whole lot fucking worse if that is true.
It's like just genuinely being hungry. And even though you know you've had enough to eat, your brain's not telling you that. It's like it's a mind trick. That's exactly what it is.
So I don't mind openly admitting now that I was an emotional binge eater. If I was happy, I would binge. If I was sad, I was binging. Doesn't really matter. I had no filter whatsoever. And for me, the medication just...
I mean, that's fair enough. It's hard to get around that. She looks like she's kept the weight off. Whether she's kept it off by staying on the drug or not, I don't know. But out of all of the guys, well, her and the doc seem to have kept the weight off.
Often nobody understands what that means really unless you've actually been on this medication.
Fear and anxiety around those days, those first few days when you come off it, and it kind of takes over a little bit in your mind because you go from never thinking about eating, and the second that that's no longer in your system, it's like a switch just goes straight back on and you're instantly starving.
But you're going to be, because you haven't been eating. This is the thing. When people go on a calorie deficit, you have to expect that you're going to be hungry at times. The deeper into the deficit you go, whether you're on a medication or not, the hungrier you're going to feel more often. So imagine switching that off. Imagine going, oh, fuck it, I'll just give you that. Fuck it, you've turned that off now. You're not going to be hungry. And then you take it away and you go from having moments of hunger to I'm immediately hungry all the time because I've been starving myself effectively because you can't eat very much on the medication. It's the same as if you take painkillers. If you've had an injury and you take a load of painkillers, you know, let's say a serious injury, you take a load of painkillers, and instead of bringing your dose down of those painkillers so the pain comes back steadily that you can cope with it, you go, oh, it's fine, now I'll take it off immediately after day 2, and the pain comes back like fucking crazy. The same thing's going to happen with this. I have no doubt about it.
And one of the things that comes up a lot when people talk about food noise, and people say,
that's a new thing I hate, food noise.
Eat food that satiate you and keep you fuller for longer. That doesn't work with food noise.
Yes, it does over time. It doesn't work the first time you do it. If you do it once, obviously it's not going to just fucking change. You have to create a habitual change. And having high quality, non-processed, good protein is the thing that's going to slowly change that. Okay, it doesn't just go, oh, one meal, it didn't work, oh, better not fucking bother, jump back on the meds.
Noise just doesn't seem to happen. But what I've noticed over the last 3 months is I'm eating things that keep me full up. I'm finding that through doing the work that I am.
Well, so he said it in one breath that it doesn't work, and now he's saying that over a period of time. So he kind of said what I just said. I didn't realize he was going to say that, to be fair. But yeah, you do it over a period of time and then it slowly starts to change. I think in one of my previous posts, it says if you can diet consistently, if you can change your food habits, if you do it for 9 months, you're way less likely to revert back to what you were doing. So you have to do it for a sustained period of time.
The food noise is still there sometimes, but overall it's largely gone.
Yeah, the food noise is there sometimes. It's there for everyone. That's normal. You know, so sometimes you'll give into it and sometimes you don't. If you have good weight management and good habits, you'll say no most of the time. You'll say yes some of the time, and that's absolutely fucking fine.
Still crave sweet and savoury things, but I'll have alternatives. And I know now that I would rather fuel my body with something that is more nutritional than a quick sugary fix.
That makes sense. So with all that, so that's kind of what happens after you come off the medication, which makes it very, very hard to keep the weight off, right? So how quickly does it come on though? How quickly does the weight come on for these people?
Spike when you come off, because you've no longer got the medication that's helping you suppress your appetite. And a lot of people then don't continue eating in a calorie deficit.
She said that perfectly. The weight will spike straight away because you haven't got the hunger suppressor, and then you stop eating in a deficit of calories. So what happens is obvious. You put the weight back on.
We do not ensure that significant changes have been done in the whole lifestyle, then unfortunately, people are going to start regaining weight.
You couldn't have said it better. I could not have said that better myself. If you haven't changed your lifestyle because of this, if you haven't done the work around the medication to change your habits, you're just going to revert back. And it's not just a problem with the medication, it's a problem with any type of diet, any type of crash diet that you do. If you go, this is a fix for me, I'm going to get to my destination, and I'm not going to think of the how, and I'm not going to think of what works, and I'm not going to think about doing this forever, you'll just revert back to your old fucking self.
I put about a stone on in probably around a month. Expecting some to go on was in my mind. How quick it went on wasn't.
So it went on quick because obviously he went from not eating to consuming a lot in a very short period of time. That's the only way you gain weight. There would have been an initial spike of weight just because you're eating slightly more, even if you're only eating slightly more, because obviously you've got more food in you, you've got more water retention in you, especially if you're eating more carbohydrates. So yeah, there is going to be a normal spike, but I suspect from what these people have been saying, that there's this monumental feeling of hunger and they probably overconsume it, especially in that first few days and weeks where they come off the medication. So there you go. You have 3 different people there talking about their experiences, and it seems to me like most of them are struggling to keep the weight off when they come off the medication. Now, for me, that cannot be a good thing for people. That cannot be a fucking good thing. The idea that all of a sudden you go, oh, there's med that makes me lose the weight that I've struggled to lose my whole life, and I'm not going to change any fucking habits, I'm not going to change my lifestyle, I'm just going to use it when I need it. But then when you come off it, you put the weight back quicker. And we haven't even talked about the muscle loss. We haven't talked about how much of a negative effect that's going to have on your health and why weight training needs to be included in a program like this, not just with Ozempic, any type of weight loss program. We haven't even fucking talked about that. We just talked about how hungry they get after they come on. We haven't talked about the really bad side effects that they're starting to talk about as well. That for me is enough to tell me that most of the fucking population should not be on it. There's a very small that are going to struggle to lose weight on their own. Everyone else needs to take control of their own health, because otherwise they're just going to be using the medication their whole life, and there's various side effects that are going to affect their health way worse than the things that they're talking about now. So that's my stance on Ozempic. What do I know? Let me know what you think in the comments. Please don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.